Hey everyone, I have an exciting new series. I'm going to bring to the One Rental at a Time brand YouTube channel celebration of small businesses. We need some good news out there. And my first guest is a friend of mine. He has helped me personally over the years, and he is running a big business, or well, I consider it a big business. He may not, called DH Fitness. So let's welcome Daniel Hong to the show. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me, Z. It's a pleasure. You didn't tell me I was going to be the first one. You put a lot of pressure on me now.
That's okay. I know you can handle it. You ran me through some pretty hard workout challenges in my day. This is just my time to return the favor.
There you go. I'm happy to be on. Thanks for having me.
You got it, man. Well, Daniel, do me a favor. Let's introduce how your fitness journey begins, because it starts at a low point. And I think everybody needs to realize sometimes we got to go through stuff so that we can come out of the other side stronger. So you want to tell that story?
Sure. I guess my fitness journey really happened at a very pivotal time in my life when I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a lymphatic cancer. And at the time they found it, they diagnosed me with what's called stage 2 version of the lymphoma cancer called nodular sclerosis. So what it means is we have the lymphatic system that serves as kind of like a filtration system for our entire body. Mm-hmm. And they happened to find an enlarged lymph node in my neck. And they did a biopsy on it, and then the results came back that it was cancerous. So they wanted to get me going right away. As far as treatment goes, this happened 10 years ago. So at the time I was 23, relatively healthy, and I grew up very active most of my life. So it was a big shock to me and my family and my close friends. But those are things that we don't really have, we can't really prepare for. Mm-hmm. So we were just kind of doing whatever was necessary to get me started right away. I went through 2 rounds of chemo, which took just over 8 weeks, and then a month of radiation therapy. And with that, they wanted to make sure that my body, because I was still young, they wanted to make sure that they hit me with all the medicine and the precautions necessary so that it would never come back. Right. And I'm happy to say today that it's been 10 plus years of me being in complete remission. So it's something that I'm very proud of, and I'm very thankful for.
Yeah, that's quite the wake up call for a 23-year-old, right? Most of us at 23 are, I don't know, most of us is probably fair. We're just trying to figure things out. We're probably partying more and eating pizza and drinking beer and going out at night. And you're going through a couple of rounds of chemo, and probably, I mean, I can't imagine that kind of wake up call. First hearing it, then sitting through 8-10 weeks of medicine, right? It's not, I mean, calling it medicine is, I'm not even sure that's the right word. It's poison.
It's poison.
Yeah, it's poison that happens to be so bad it kills cancer. And
right. And I remember at that time, it's just like you see in the movies, like where everything goes quiet, like when they say you have cancer or the results came back that it's positive with cancer. Just like in the movies, things go silent, things start moving in slow motion, and you're just like, how is this happening to me? But one thing that I'm very happy to know through that experience is we can't take the relative good bill of health that we have for granted. Mm-hmm. And I think, like you mentioned, at that time when a lot of 23-year-olds are, they're not really worried about that because, right. They know how resilient they are. They feel like they're Superman, Superwoman, whatever it is. And at that time, it forced me to grow up. It forced me to look at life like, hey, this could potentially happen again. I have a higher likelihood of it coming back. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that I'm ingraining in my own personal habits the things that will prevent this thing from ever happening. Right. And I narrowed it down to 2 things. It was going to be my physical activity, and to make sure that everything that I input into my body was going to be beneficial. Mm. And so that really catapulted, that served as the catalyst to really dive into exercise science and to look into nutrition. And I made it my mission that I'm going to help as many people as possible so that they can avoid the situation from ever coming up into their life.
Yeah. And help me make the connection. So I met you, I think, for the first time 4 years ago. You were a coach at a CrossFit gym that I joined.
Hmm.
And when I joined there, like it or not, you were the guy, right? You were the, other than the owner, Jason Kalipa, you were the one that everybody looked at as the best athlete in the gym. Whether you know it or not, that's what people thought and saw. So make the connection between, surviving or getting through 2 rounds of chemo, radiation therapy, in what was probably 4 or 5 years before I met you. What were you doing? Because did you just go right into athletics and weightlifting, or how was that evolution? How'd you get from that stage to when I met you?
So after coming out of my chemotherapy and the radiation, I knew I wanted to get involved in the fitness space for my
Right.
career.
Okay.
And I needed to just kind of understand the groundwork of how the fitness space works. So I joined as an entry level position at a corporate gym. And at the time, it was in Redwood City. It's a well known commercial gym called Club One.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really understood kind of the business aspect of it, the memberships, the classes, the personal training, the amenities, all the things that's necessary to run a successful club. And then from there, I really grew to enjoying the CrossFit style of training in the group setting.
Sure.
I wanted to find a community. I wanted to find a group of people that were like-minded in making sure that their exercise routines and that what they put into their bodies and other aspects of their life were in line with living a truly holistic, healthy life.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that in the CrossFit community. And then from there, I spent the next 7 years coaching CrossFit classes
Mm-hmm.
and getting to coach hundreds, if not thousands of people that came through the door with a wide range of backgrounds, just to understand kind of the methodology that's behind an effective exercise program. And so I got to learn a lot about what it means to service people when it comes to their health and wellness, to understand that it's very critical that you meet people where they're at. And also your goals are not other people's goals. And to make sure that we're really listening and in tune with what the people in front of us find most important. Whether you're a ex-collegiate athlete that's looking for that competitive satisfaction, or if you're on the other side, if you have a family and you know that you need to maintain relative good health so that you can do all the day-to-day things better.
Right.
And so getting to work with that wide range of this demographic helped me to understand fitness applies to everybody's lives, no matter what period of life you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And me as a service provider, to make sure that I'm really paying attention to each individual's unique wants and needs. And so I really grew to liking that. And I appreciate those kind words that you said earlier, but I really wanted to make sure every person that stepped into the gym facility, that they were appreciated as an individual.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was just going to go there. Because again, I've been in the service industry since I was a teenager, and one of the things I do is I watch people, and more importantly, I watch people when they're not interacting with me, because I think everybody confront when they're in a one-on-one interaction. But when you watch somebody from afar over the course of 2 or 3 years, you really get to see who they are, and you treated everybody the same. You were always pleasant and helpful, whether, no matter what skill level, right? Whether they were a collegiate rower or football player or wrestler to, somebody who hasn't lifted up a barbell ever. You were always there to help. And I'm very pleased to see that, DH Fitness is your dream, is your goal, because you can help everyone. And watching you from afar was often one of the highlights of my day when going to the gym, was just seeing you help people. So I just wanted to tell you that was pretty cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I think, and now I could be wrong, during our time together is when DH Fitness was launched, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I joined the gym, you were doing some one-on-one coaching, but really the brand DH Fitness sort of started during that journey. What was it that really caused you to go, now's the time? Because I'm glad you did, but you had to have something in your head that said, now's the time.
Yeah, at the time, and I think this is the common experience with a lot of trainers that are personal trainers. They're an individual is that they run into this problem of scalability.
Yep.
Is you can't continue to fulfill 10 sessions a day for 10 unique people, have the time to program for those 10 people, and over weeks at a time, it's a perfect storm for burnout.
Right.
And so I had this thought that just like any other business, I need to start thinking about how do I expand? How do I leverage the things that I'm good at? And how can I help train other coaches and trainers so that they can support me in my visions? And I knew that would resonate with a lot of people because we were kind of cut from the same cloth, so to speak. And so they did have the people that were in my coaching network of fitness professionals. They're very in tune with trying to help people in the long term. We're not looking to just do a 6-week fitness challenge, but really we want to set people up so that they can exercise autonomy with their health and wellness over a long period of time. So getting to connect with people on that basis and explaining that to them, that this is my goal. These are the core values that we have, and this is the reason why we exist. And having that resonate with some of the people in my network help to think, okay, there are other people that think like me. Now let's expand together and create opportunities in that way. So as far as a personal brand of DH Fitness, we started to expand out to personal training, remote programming through online platforms and apps that where we service people from local areas and outside of our local area, and really expanding into the corporate wellness space as well as these large scale multifamily residential communities, because we found that a lot of these underutilized amenities that office buildings have, that apartment complexes have, they should be leveraged to create stickiness with their employees or their communities that are associated with them. So we really are targeting those two markets right now.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because that's where I hope this show can bring you some business. DH Fitness for corporate wellness. Let's go there first, then we'll go multifamily.
Sure.
I think corporate wellness, I think it was important in February and before, but I think it's even more important now and going forward, because corporations and office space may be different, right? You may go to the office 4 days a week before. Now you may go 4 days a month. So thinking about corporate wellness routines, I think it's more important now, because what's going to happen when people work from home a lot is they're going to end up working more. And if corporations are not thinking about the well-being of their employees, they're going to get burnout. So they should be thinking about a wellness program that says, you know what, you should take 15 minutes a day to do something, right? Even if it's just, walking on a treadmill or doing squats, or there are lots of things that you could design that don't require any of these fancy equipment. And I'm really happy to see that you're going after that corporate wellness. You want to talk about that and some things you've done and seen?
Yeah, especially now you bring up this great point, Mike, about how people are now blurring the lines between work and life separation.
Yep.
Because now you have your family in the background, you have dogs running in and out of the room, and other things that understandably will pull from your attention. You may have to put work on pause to go and attend to other responsibilities that you have. But where before, when you were at work with your employees around you in your common workspaces, you didn't have the distractions of just your life. And what's happening now are people are working later, they're working more, and they're working also into their weekends.
Yeah.
So working from home burnout is a very real thing, and it's happening to a lot of people. So I think the best things that companies, corporations, enterprises can focus on is how do we create this realistic approach to making sure that our employees are taking care of not just their physical health, but also their mental health, and to create those boundaries and to recreate an environment in their living spaces now where they can still be productive, still be an A-class employee, and to make sure that they're making these significant contributions to their companies. So really focusing on those two things, your physical well-being, your mental well-being, and making sure that you're using the wellness funnel as a way to stay connected to the entire corporation.
Well, let's put it out here. We'll do it again at the end, but how could a corporation who is probably someone in HR reach out to DH Fitness, reach out to you, Daniel, to have those discussions, because more and more companies need to be thinking about this. This is going to be a problem. And if they don't get ahead of it, it could really, really be a big problem. So if somebody wanted to reach out just to have a conversation about what that would look like, how could they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so please go ahead and visit our website at www.dhfitnessinc.com. There's the list of our steps that we take as far as the protocol when we have initial consultations with HR managers, with workplace managers, and just so that we can have this conversation about what's important to you as a company.
Right.
What are your core values when it comes to health and wellness? What do you envision for your employees? And we want to make sure that we cater and create a program that's specific to and aligns with the company's goals. I think that's what's most important. A lot of other companies, corporate wellness companies, they have these templates and programs already created, and it works and it's great. But what we specialize in is taking more of a personal approach and to really get to understand what is the culture of your workforce,
Right.
What's important to them, and to make sure that we create a program around that, because that's how we see the longest success rate happen over a longer period of time. And we want to make sure that we create that opportunity for the people that we work with.
Okay. And that's dhfitnessinc.com.
Yes.
I'll put that in the description. So now let's switch gears to multifamily. I was very encouraged when we did our brief intro that you talked about that, because again, I think something's going to happen in the real estate environment is multifamily, specifically apartments, they're going to have higher vacancies. So something they should be thinking about is, how can I create stickiness with my residents and then want to stay? And one of the things they could do is create something unique, such as a fitness program, such as a challenge, such as, what DH Fitness brings. And I think I've never heard anybody else talk about this in all my experience. Somebody working with DH Fitness to say, hey, let's create a program for this apartment or this multifamily building. Not only probably the exercises and the routines, but also the little bit of competitive environment with, all the members. Because again, if you can create stickiness and that togetherness, magic can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the pain point that a lot of these property management companies expressed to us, was that we have these amenities on site that we've poured millions of dollars into, but every time we pass by, they're being underutilized. Maybe one person is in the gym. It's not creating this hub-like environment where the community can come together. And right now, understandably, it can't be. It's just a safety measure, and we have to comply with local safety ordinances, of course. But at the time, when we're driving the business in this direction, at least one arm of the business, we understood that this is a common pain point with all of these large-scale multifamily residential properties, was that they have these underutilized amenities. Now, if we can use their gyms, fitness centers, yoga rooms, community centers as a place for, like you mentioned, for the community to come together. Now, not only does that give them the potential of filling up their vacancies, but it creates resident loyalty over a long period of time. As you know, being a member of a gym that has a very strong community presence, it's really hard to just uproot yourself and leave that place, because you make a lot of your friends there. You and I have become friends there, Z, right?
Yep.
And so because you have that sense of a family relationship or that bond to your community, it creates this chance for your property not just to become this place where people go and just live in their rooms and that's it, or their spaces, but really it becomes this hub. And if we can create any kind of attention and focus around health and wellness for the residents, that's really the purpose of us going into these residential multifamily properties, so that we can help them create that kind of culture.
Yeah. So same thing. Because actually a lot of people that are in apartments actually own apartments, watch the channel. Same deal. Go to dhfitnessinc.com if they want to reach out and see how they could maybe be a part of this or enlist your support. Same deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have two sections there, one for the corporate side and one for these residential multifamily property owners. And again, just so that we can have a conversation, we just want to understand what is important to you guys. And is there a current service that you feel could be lacking that we can help you with based around health and wellness? And if we can, we do want to help.
Very cool. And you have a pretty active Instagram page. It's obviously probably more of a personal page. I'm obviously a subscriber or a follower or whatever you call it. But where can people follow you there? What is it?
It's at DH Fitness Inc. So that's where I post a lot of just daily reminders around health and wellness. I like to feature other fitness professionals that I really respect and look up to as far as the things that they're currently doing that's creative, unique, innovative in supporting our communities. So if that's something that you guys find interesting, go ahead and find me there at DH Fitness Inc.
Yeah. And again, one of the things that's important and why I wanted you to be the first guest on this small business is just like retail, just like restaurants, the fitness industry has been hit hard, right? 24-hour fitness likely going out of business or bankruptcy. I think Gold's Gym has already gone bankrupt. A lot of gyms didn't have the wherewithal to wait this out. So you were the first guy I thought of. I'm like, he is moving and shaking. I've seen you pivot your business in the last 10 weeks and you're not letting this environment go. So congratulations for that. But what kind of mindset does it take to just keep going forward?
I think I had to come back to the question a lot about why do I exist? Why does this company exist? And if I wasn't here today, or if the company did not exist today, would the world be better off? Or would there be a sliver, or at least this missing component that our company brings to the table? And when I went back to that question, I really thought about it. It was so clear to me that I have to be here. I have to think about ways to pivot the business. I have to still live out my original mission, my own personal mission of making sure that local communities are learning and being educated on health and wellness, so that they can avoid those potential harm. The potential harm and illnesses that come from living an unhealthy lifestyle. So I had to go back to the core values of why we exist, and then make sure that regardless of the current situation and outside factors, we're still going to move forward. And we want to make sure that we can help service the community this way. This is our way of beating COVID-19 and the coronavirus pandemic that we're all experiencing. So we want to make sure that we're still lined up with that goal.
Yeah. And again, I wanted you to be the first guest because again, you're an industry hit hard by this, and everything I see you put out there is positive. It's, you're dealing with it. You're moving on. You're not whining. That doesn't do anything for us. And I'm going to be featuring people that have small businesses that are just going after it because I think we all just need to feel better, and there's nothing better than health and wellness. So any kind of closing thoughts before we wrap this up? I want to thank you again, but any closing thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, Z, for having me. But I think one thing that we can take away from this whole situation is not to take for granted our health and wellness, to reach out to people that that perhaps you've been missing a social connection with, and just having more conversations about what it means to live a healthy life, both from the physical aspect, but also the mental side, making sure that your headspace, making sure that the way that you're thinking is clear, and that you're still able to be productive. You're still able to be positive and focused on the things that's important to you. And we both know the benefits of regular exercise, but making sure in some way, shape, or form that you're addressing that every single day. And it doesn't have to be complicated. And if there's any way that we can help, we want to be there to support you.
Very cool, man. So again, dhfitnessinc.com. And then again, your Instagram is still at dhfitnessinc. Very
Got
cool.
it. Yeah.
Oh, Daniel, this has been so much fun. Thank you for being my first guest to this new series.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Z. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.
You got it.